Hey, what's going on, my friend? NT Izuchi here, your internet marketing coach and mentor. Welcome back to the classroom. And I know you miss me, and I miss you too. And that's why I'm really shooting this video, because in this video, I'm actually going to share with you a few things, okay, for your website. Some calls to actions, right, on your website that you can really start using to start generating a ton of leads for your website without taking away from the content on your website, right? And that's really the real reason why I'm actually shooting this video. Because one of my mentors, when I first got started online, for one, I kind of got started off doing videos and stuff like that just because I just like to get out there, show my face, and I really don't care what people think, right? But here's the thing. When I was doing these videos and things like that, I wasn't giving a strong call to action to tell people to go to the next step. Now, as you progress in your internet marketing, learning and stuff like that, in your content marketing efforts, you start to have your voice, right? You start to form more of an authoritative opinion. However, when you're giving that opinion, if you're not driving someone to some type of action to learn more or take the next step in further learning, you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot, right? So I want to kind of start with one thing when we talk about calls to action for your website, right? One of the things that I see a lot of people do that is, one, completely annoying to me as a consumer, consuming information. By a consumer, you don't mean you always have to buy things. You're just a consumer of information, content, is basically having calls to action, little widgets and things on your website that distract from the content. See, that is not the way calls to action work. As a matter of fact, when you're running your own website, your own web presence, your own blog and things like that, your content is what validates your call to action, right? So if I get to a website and all of a sudden there's all these banners and pop-ups and all this crazy stuff going on, I'm like, wait, I was just coming here because I wanted to learn a quick lesson on XYZ, and all of a sudden I got all these pop-ups. That's not the way this stuff works, right? Your content validates your call to action, period, right? If you're not having some type of authoritative voice on some type of opinion or something within that niche or that subject matter, why the heck am I going to go ahead and click this button or put my name and information in there, right? So that's just one lesson just to get off started, right? You never want to have, one, your calls to action on your website overpowering your content, right? Your content, right, and your calls to action are supposed to work in conjunction with each other, okay? So that's one of the first things I kind of want to touch on, right? And I'm going to write this down because, and sometimes when you write stuff out, it just resonates more because you stamps a print in people's head, right? Your CTAs, right, your calls to action, right? If you've never touch the internet. Well, if you're here, you've obviously been on the internet, right? I don't want to, take away from your knowledge base or make you sound like you're a dummy, right? But your call to action should never, right? Should never, okay, outshine your content, period, right? 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 Your CTAs, okay, and content work together, right? Together. Have that in your mind. Have that in your mind, okay? Your CTA should never outshine your content, right? Ever, 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 right? So when you come to your website, right, what are some different calls to action you can use? And as a matter of fact, if you're watching this on my blog, you're going to see some different things. Now, you may think they might be just little widgets or little things that I'm putting in there, but they're there strategically, right? They're there strategically because a lot of the lingo, a lot of my calls to action in my actual videos, right, in my actual written content in my podcast actually coincide with the different things I'm going to talk to you right now, right? So first type of call, so I'm going to go types, right? Types of CTAs for your website, right? Types of CTAs for your website, right? The first thing is your opt-in form, right? Opt-in form, right? Now, if you look on my website to the right side of the video, somewhere on the side, it has a little bit of copy on there, right? But with my call to action at the end of this video, they go hand in hand. And the thing is, with your opt-in form, all right, that to me is like the first line of defense, right? Now, when you get to websites, right, typically people turn on the blinders, right? They turn on the blinders, right? Similar to when you go on Facebook or YouTube, any of these sites, you kind of turn the blinders off to the right side of your eyes because typically those banners and those ads are just typically trying to sell you stuff, right? But if you have great content, then all of a sudden you kind of start looking to the right side and saying, okay, well, what's the call to action here? What do they want me to opt into? What do they want me to click here on the side banner, right? And that's kind of what your opt-in form is. It's kind of your first line of defense, right? Put your name, your information in there so that you can start generating leads, okay? It's very, very clear what that is supposed to be there for, right? And I actually see a lot of websites when there's no opt-in form. I'm just like, well, what are you selling, right? Not even know so much what you're selling. Do you understand that most people aren't going to buy from you from the jump street, right? They're not going to do that, right? So that's why you collect their name and information and continuously feed them content, right? Give them a constant flow of content so that they make better, more informed purchasing decisions. And that's just it, right? So the next type of calls to action are actually going to be in your content, right? In your written content, right? In your videos, podcasts, things like that, right? That's also, calls to action, right? So in this video, in the written piece of content in my podcast, at the end, I give you a call to action. After I'm giving you that value, I kind of say, hey, if you want to kind of expound upon what it is that I'm talking about, I actually give a lesson, a more detailed lesson touching on this subject, right? So in your videos, in your written content, in your podcast, make it a habit after it to kind of guide people to the next step, right? Because people want to learn more information. They don't necessarily, people like to buy stuff, right? But they like to make informed purchasing decision, right? And so that's why in your written content, your videos, your podcast, you kind of guide them to the next step, right? My thing is this: I always just guide people through their own sales process. I don't think I have to sell you stuff. You want to buy, but you kind of are just looking for more information, right? I just help you guide you through your own sales process, period, right? So the next thing, and you're going to notice this on my website, right, are headers, the footers, and the sidebar, right? So the header, right, footer, and sidebar. By the way, if I'm talking really, really fast, I'm going to try to slow down. I had coffee this morning. Kind of got off to a late start, so I'm like all over the wall right now, so just bear with me, right? But if you look on my website, right, if you notice that when you got to this website now, depending on when you're watching this video, right, but if you look above my video, above my website, there's a little drop down that comes down, right? Now it's not very invasive, right? It kind of just comes in after a few seconds when you're on the web page, right? It's not loud, it doesn't take away from the content, but the button is bright enough for you to just, your eye just to catch it. Now I'm not saying you go ahead and click it immediately, but after you're getting more of the content and my calls to action, then you're like, oh, it makes sense why that's there, right? So in the header, there's a little drop down. Same thing at the bottom of my website, right? There's a footer, right? There's 3 buttons, right? Now my call to action is to give you that free video training series, right, where I give you basically what I call the 4 pillars of internet marketing, get you a firm base on that so you can get started the right way the first time around, right? There's a button for that, and that's at the bottom of the website. But just notice that it's there. The calls to action on the buttons are very, very clear, but it's not screaming, it's not jumping out the page, right? I want you to focus on this video, focus on the written content, and that written content, right, is going to validate those buttons, right? Those buttons. The same thing on the sidebar, right? It's the same buttons, right? So it's not confusing. It's everything kind of coincides together, right? So last but not least, now here's a real touchy subject with me when it comes to pop-ups. Pop-ups. You know when you get to a website and like you go to a blog post and you just start reading, and like 5 seconds into reading, boom, a pop-up comes up on the website. It's just like, dude, I'm just trying to get some information here. I don't even know what this is about. I don't even know if I want this. I don't even know if you're giving good answers on your content. So why am I going to opt into this pop-up on this page? So annoying. I see people do it and it irks me. And some people have it pop up like every 2 or 3 minutes. It's just like, okay, you know what, I'm just annoyed. I know you're just trying to make the sale, trying to get a lead, whatever it is, I understand that, but let me get the content first. Now, here's the thing with pop-ups, right? You can use them, but if you use them the right way. Now, how do you use them the right way, right? If you go to your Google Analytics, here's when you get kind of, not technical, but you just get smart. If you notice on your blog or your website that there's a particular page or blog post that is just getting an extraordinary amount of content, right? Traffic, way more traffic than the other blog posts and pages. Now on that, since that is getting a lot of traffic, you may want to have a pop-up come up on that page, right? Come up on that page, and I do that on certain pages, right? So basically, if I see on that page that, you know, the average individual spending 6 to 7 minutes on that, you know, blog post or page, maybe halfway into that blog post or 4 or 5, maybe 5 minutes into it, then I have the pop-up, right? After they've gotten enough of my content that validates this pop-up, right? That's where you start using it. So use it on particular pages that you know are getting a lot of traffic, right? okay, that one, it's getting a lot of traffic, and two, that you know you can capitalize off that traffic by putting a pop-up. You know, something that's not invasive, but something that's just very, very clear, that backs up whatever it is that you're saying in that blog post or blog or that page. Now, here's the thing with pop-ups. Usually pop-ups are created by a third party, you know, software. So major autoresponder service like GetResponse or like Aweber or something like that, what they do is they make you do a double opt-in, right? So if it's not a capture page that is, you know, used through Aweber, but Aweber is the one collecting the leads, they make the subscribers, so the people who subscribed on that pop-up, go to their email, right, and not resubmit or subscribe, basically saying, yes, I want to get on that list. To me, that is just a waste of time. We're all big boys, big girls here. Listen, if you want my stuff, you're going to opt in. If you don't, you're just going to unsubscribe, right? Now, what you can do for things like Aweber, you can contact them and say, hey, listen, on this page, I'm using this third-party capture service. Can you take the API off that, or can you just basically take away that double opt-in feature for that? You can do that. All right, so there's a smart way to do it, and there's just a bad way to do it. Okay, so again, I don't want to make this video too long. I hope that you got some value from this, and as a matter of fact, everything I'm teaching on this is on my website, so you can actually see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Anyway, if you want to get more details on how you can use calls to action for your sales funnel, because this is where the sales funnel starts, right? With your content, right? To the calls to action on your actual website. To the right side of this video, right? There's going to be a little opt-in form or a little box that says get the free series. And in that free series is going to be a series of 4 videos. And in the sales funnel in conversion video, I go into calls to action on that in detail, and really kind of break it down for you, how you can start using different calls to action on your website that you can start converting traffic into leads, right? Converting into leads, and then thereafter, how do you nurture those leads to turn them into then paying customers, right? So without further ado, to the right side of this video is going to be a nice capture form button. Go ahead, get that free video training series, okay? And let's start helping you build brand and manage, a business the right way the first time around. Again, I told you I'm on some coffee, so I'm off the wall. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. Hope you got some value from this video, and I'll see you on the inside of that training, my friend. Take it easy.